Hello there. So today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I did a poll on my Instagram, seeing if you guys wanted a recap of my tournament round. So here we go. This was my second tournament of the year, Capilano Golf and Country Club. It was a G&G Tour event. So, and just a bit of a disclaimer, I'm going to do this raw, one take, just because in life, some of the best things are done raw. So that being said, a lot of mistakes. So don't make fun of me. So first thing we're going to look at here is our score, right? We shot 71, one over par. It is a par 70. So, not great, but considering the start, which we'll get to in a second, not too bad. Now, just quick stats here. Got our greens 15, fairways 9. That's a 13 too, because there's 5 par 3s. Only made 2 birdies, which is very unfortunate. And I had 1 triple bogey, no bogeys, no doubles, anything like that. And then my par 3 scoring, I had 3.0, 4.3, 4.3, and 32 putts. So at first glance here, ball striking seems to be very good. My approach, off the tee wasn't that bad. My birdies weren't very good. Putts weren't very good either. Par 4 scoring, kind of crappy too. But I don't really pay too much attention to those. I prefer to look more at my strokes gained because that gives me it gives me much better kind of analysis of how I actually played. And the app I use is Golf Metrics. It's the same app that the creator used to create, the strokes gained, Mark Brody. The only thing is, though, it is a little pricey. It's $100 for the year, but if you're going to play tournaments like me, it is absolutely worth it. So first thing we see here is my strokes gained driver. I lost 1 shot. My strokes gained approach, I gained 0.3 of a shot. And this is all against tour average, right? Not against the field of the G&G Tour event. This is PGA Tour average, right? So anytime you see something positive, it's actually pretty good. And then our short game, pretty even, plus 0.1. My strokes gained putting, which is something I always struggle with, was minus 1.3. And basically what these all mean is that depending on how I drove, like for instance this, I lost 1 stroke to the field, right? So if I would have had, even driving, I would have probably shot about 70, right? So, but this at first glance, although it is bad, minus 1, on the first hole, I did make a triple. I pumped one left, Oscar Bravo. So that left me with a triple, right? That hole in and of itself cost me 2 shots. I had a minus 2 strokes gained driver on that hole because I pumped one out of bounds. So if you take that hole, if you take that hole out, I actually had a +1 driver strokes gained for the whole day, which is actually really solid. So that I'm not too concerned about. 1 hole isn't that bad. My approach is usually a lot higher than this, so I think it's because I missed a couple greens with wedges. I only did miss 3 greens, but I think 2 of them were from like 130 yards or so. So that's really going to affect that. My putting, again, and I broke it into the 3 categories that they have based on the Golf Metrics app. 0 to 6 feet, I gained plus zero point 0.7 strokes. And essentially, I did not miss a single putt inside 6 feet, which is great because if you do miss like a 3-footer, that counts as like a whole stroke missed. And if you miss a 6-footer, it's like, I don't know, 0.8 of a stroke. And then this is where I struggle with the most is 7 to 21 feet. The only thing is, though, I wish this was a smaller breakdown. 7 to 21 feet is a very big range. I wish it was closer to like maybe 7 to 12 and then 13 to like 16. And then, but that's fine. This is where I need to work on my most. I think 15 to 20 feet is where I struggle with the most, just because sometimes I get a little too aggressive, hit it like 3-4 feet by. I made all my putts coming back, which is fine, but it's just like this is where I'm losing my strokes. And then 22 feet plus, minus 0.6 of a stroke. Not great. I didn't make anything just based on my birdies and the fact that I only missed 3 greens. I had very, very few 1 putts that day. So, it's not bad considering, but I prefer to look at the strokes gained statistics rather than just these because you could see that you hit a lot of greens, but your strokes gained approach could actually be pretty low. And basically what that means is you're hitting a lot of greens, but your proximity to the hole is pretty poor. And then if you have a high proximity to the hole, let's say you average like 40, 50 feet or whatever, you're going to look at your putts and be like, oh, I didn't make any putts. And it's like, no, it's not your putter's fault that you had 30, 40, 50 footers. You're never going to make those, right? So these are good statistics, but I think the strokes gains gives you a much better kind of representation of actually how you played. The next thing I'm going to look at here, I like to break down my approach a little more in depth just because that is my strong suit here. I broke it up 75 to 100 yards. I had 2 shots in that range. 100 to 125, for some reason, I had no shots there, which is interesting. And then 126 to 150 was where I had most of my approaches. I think I had 5 of them. And then 151 to 175, I had 3. Now, this is a little deceiving because I think my numbers were like I had 152, 154, and like 156. So most of my shots, pretty much 10 of my approach shots, are coming from inside of 155 yards. So just based on looking at that, on par fours, that's where I should dedicate a lot of my time. I have no reason to hit a bunch of 4 irons and 5 irons because almost all my shots into greens are with pitching wedges and under. So that's an important thing to note. Now I have my par fives here at 185 yards, 210, 280. There's only 3 par fives there at Capilano. So hit a 5 iron here, hit a 6 iron here. This was super downhill at 210. Made birdie, 280. 18 is a really difficult approach in, so I wasn't too mad about not making birdie there. But par threes, they're all pretty much very similar except for this 227, which was an absolute beast. Hit a 4 iron there, hit a nice par. But I parred every single one of these. I think that was, I don't know, 8 iron, 7 iron, 8 iron, 9 iron, I think. Capilano is at a little elevation, so the ball is going to travel a little bit further. So that's why these numbers are a little juiced. Now, the last thing I'm going to look at is my opportunities. Now, I'm going to transition over here, and it's basically where I kind of messed up, where I could do better in the future. Obviously, I have the first hole. I made a triple. Now, I wasn't nervous here at all. It's a pretty wide opening hole. I play a natural draw, and for some reason I decide, oh, let's aim up the left and try to hit a little cut because it's, I'm not gonna say a little nervous, but first hole, everyone's always a little nervous whether they admit it or not. And then I did the Club Pro guy double cross, and I pumped it left, and it hit a tree, kicked out of bounds. So that was pretty unfortunate there. That was just a strategy error there, and then I just did not execute the shot I was trying to. And then I had 154 yards downhill, so I'm like, okay, it's downhill, downwind. Let's hit a pitching wedge, right? Because the ball should travel a little further. But I pumped it long because we're at elevation. I didn't really take that in consideration, and I went long. So I ended up not getting down, caused a triple there. So I pretty much lost 3, 4, probably 4 strokes. No, 3 strokes there on one hole. So, just that hole alone turns a 71 to a 68 or 67. So can't get too down because I did play very solid 17 holes of golf. I can't get mad at one poor hole, right? And then my second opportunity here was on the 6th hole. It's a downhill par 4, 420 yards. Now, it is pretty downhill, and it does kind of get a little tight near the green. I hit driver. I did hit it left. It did hit the tree, dropped down. I still made par, which was fine. But the only thing is here, though, I was not 100% comfortable hitting that drive. I hit drive because the guy in my group hit it. He works there, so I was like, I'm just going to follow whatever he does. But I hit driver, and I probably shouldn't have. I probably just should have hit a hybrid or a 3-wood, just because as soon as I get that feeling of like this is not the club, I need to switch. And I had that feeling going into the shot, and I still hit it, and I hit a crappy shot. So that is, if I'm uncomfortable, I need to step off and grab the club that I'm comfortable with the most, essentially, whether it's a 3-wood, 4-iron, hybrid, doesn't matter. Grab a club until you're comfortable and you can absolutely see the shot you're trying to hit. I just kind of went there thinking like, oh, I don't know where this is going, so I just hit it and I went left because there was no focus, right? So, but still made par, so it's not bad. This last one here, 15th hole at 134 yards, and pin was cut on the right side. Now, I still made par here, but the thing is, though, I missed it right. I had a gap wedge, prime scoring opportunity here, but I missed it right. And what I failed to consider here was I actually had a slight, the ball was a little bit below my feet. And when the ball is a little bit below your feet, you tend to miss it for a right-handed golfer a little bit right. So I was hitting the ball really well. So I was aiming at every flag. So what I was doing on that shot was like, oh, have a gap wedge. Let's just aim at flag, right? I failed to consider all my lie and pretty much everything, that I should consider when I'm hitting a golf shot. I just kind of got tunnel visioned into the target when I should have just done that due diligence and seen that I have a little bit down ball below my feet, aim like, 10 feet left. And then the ball, if it goes straight, who cares? I got a 10-footer. But if it peels back, I'm either going to be right by the pin, or if it peels a little too much, I'm going to be a little bit right of the pin. But instead, I aimed at the pin, it peeled a little bit, and I missed the green. I still got up and down though, so which wasn't bad. But I mean, I had a really, really solid round here. Nothing to really like complain about other than that first hole. So it was a really solid tournament. The only problem is though for me, like when I'm playing really well, I got to capitalize. Like 71 was the worst score I could have shot that day. I should have been like, I feel like a 68 or a 67 at the minimum with just some a little bit decent putting because I did hit it pretty close. But yeah, take out that first hole and there you go. There's a 68. So, I mean, all in all, second tournament of the year, not bad. Especially, of course, I haven't played, no practice round, no nothing. So, you know what? It's not bad. Pretty happy. And let me know if this is something you'd like me to do in the future. I mean, it's good for me. I do this anyways, but talking it out is actually going to help me more because I'm, flushing out my thoughts a little bit more. So if you do like this style, I am going to put it on YouTube and probably clip it up and put it on my Instagram and TikTok. But yeah, please like, comment, subscribe, do all that other stuff. And yeah, I really hope my camera is still recording because it's facing that way and I can't tell, but I'm going to cry if it's not. So again, I really appreciate you guys watching. You guys mean a lot to me. So till next time.